24th, 2014. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Murphy?
Here.
Shakti? Roybal?
Here.
Johnson?
Present.
Quinn?
Here.
Hall?
Present.
Coop?
Here.
Barraway?
Here.
Kellen?
Here.
Wickman?
Here.
Harrison? You have a quorum.
Thank you, and as always, I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for choosing to take part in your local government, either by being here tonight in council chambers or watching us at home on Channel 8 or live streamed on our website. I would ask everyone in chambers to turn off any sound-making devices, cell phones, or any of those old-fashioned things called pagers. I haven't seen one of those in a while. And I'll have some instructions in a few minutes about observing decorum in council chambers. But in the meantime, I would ask that everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Looks like we have a Boy Scout or two here tonight. Would you like to introduce yourselves? Tell us what school you're from and what troop you're in. From where? We're from Lakewood. Great. Well, welcome. You here for the citizenship badge? Welcome. Thanks for taking part in your local government. Didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
Yes, you did.
All right. Will the clerk please read item 4 into the record?
Item 4, recognition Lewis and Floor Wax Foundation's contribution.
All right. This is really special. I would ask Al Williams to come forth. And Al is the volunteer coordinator of our police department. Volunteers. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, council members. Thank you for having me tonight on behalf of the Lakewood Police Department to recognize one of our members and an organization that's done a great deal of good work for the city of Lakewood in the last couple of years. The Lewis and Floor Wax for Kids Foundation is an organization founded by Rick Lewis and Michael Floorwax that donates money directly to the families with kids, contributing positively to the lives of children in need. The treasurer of the Lewis and Floorwax for Kids Foundation happens to be a member of the Lakewood Police Volunteers support team, Jay Fox. Mr. Fox's relationship with the police department has allowed the opportunity for Jay to bring to the attention of Mr. Lewis and Mr. Floorwax programs that the Lakewood Police Department uses to make an impact on the quality of lives to those we serve. In 2012, the Lewis and Floorwax for Kids Foundation donated $2,000 to the Lakewood Police Colorado Life Track program. The Life Track program provides transmitters to children and others who suffer from mental challenges so that they can quickly be located in the event that they become lost. The generous gift from the foundation has helped ensure that the transmitters issued to these children are serviced, repaired, and replaced, and has contributed to the safety and well-being of these children. During the Christmas season of 2013, Jay Fox brought to the attention of the foundation the need for funding to provide Christmas presents to children, families in need through the Lakewood Police Department Christmas Cheer program. Again, the Lewis and Floorwax for Kids Foundation donated more than $2,000 to the Lakewood Police Department. This funding was used to purchase clothing for children and families nominated to the program by Lakewood police agents. The gifts purchased through the funding by the foundation contributed directly to establishing a strong bond between the members of the police department and the families who benefit most through this relationship. The generous donations secured by Jay Fox from the foundation, established by Rick Lewis and Michael Floorwax, have helped the public servants of Lakewood make a lasting and positive impact on the children of the city of Lakewood. The Lakewood Police Department would like to thank the Lewis and Floorwax Foundation and Jay Fox for their commitment to the children of the city of Lakewood. And we'll be presenting them with certificates later this week.
Thank you very much, Mr. Williams, and please pass along our thanks to Mr. Lewis and Mr. Floorwax. I know that Jay could not be here tonight. Many of us know Jay. It is tax season after all. Jay's a CPA, so this is his time of the year to make a living. We understand that, but he's old friends with lots of us too. So thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good evening.
Thank you. All right, this is the point in the meeting where the public is invited to address the City Council on items that do not appear on the agenda. All comments should be directed to City Council. I ask that all in attendance observe the decorum of City Council chambers and refrain from applause or audible support or discord with the speaker. And I want to take just a moment to reemphasize this. We've had some meetings lately where it's gotten, let's just say, a little loose. And it's really important that we observe the decorum of chambers. We're not going to allow any public comment from the seats. We're not going to. We would ask that you don't come up and grab the city clerk's shoulder from behind. We talk a lot about civility and community building. I just think it's respectful that we treat each other in a mutually respectful way during the conducting of the public business. And our commitment, in turn, is to not ask for your opinion from our seats up here. So again, we're gonna be observing the decorum of council chambers. There is a 3-minute time limit per speaker. The indicator lights on the lectern will glow yellow after 2.5 minutes and red when your 3-minute limit is up. I'll start off by reading the names on the list, and then anybody who wishes to comment. Again, this is on a non-agenda item. You're certainly welcome to comment. The first person is Doug Gribbins, and this is, again, a non-agenda item. Yeah. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Again, my name is Doug Gribbins. Last name is Gribbons. My address is 2673 South Howell Street in Lakewood. We have some pictures. Can you all see the pictures on here?
Hang on just a sec. Can we get the screen? Thank you.
Okay. I assume this is not counting against my time?
Your time has not started yet.
Okay. We're here to discuss the wall that Solterra built on the south side of the property. This is the view of the wall. You can see it in my patio doors there. That is the view of the wall. This thing is extremely lit up. And could you kind of cycle through them? Thank you. So that's what we get to look at every night. This is literally like having a billboard in the backyard. This is from my deck. And these are some additional that some of my compatriots here will talk about. That is from the Yale and Indiana. This is the wall. I'm probably going to run out of time here. I'm a system engineer. I work from home. Occasionally I have business meetings. When people come to my house, they literally say, "Oh my God, this thing is like it's like a castle wall." Quickly, before my time runs out, I want to essentially quote Lakewood zoning code. Section 17.9.3.2a says the light source of signs shall not be visible from adjacent properties. From my deck, you can see each of the lights on the south side of that wall. The light reading at 10 feet from the property line on an adjacent property shall be 1 foot candle of light or less. I've measured it from the corner of my yard at 10 foot candles. And then the last point, illumination ceases between the hours of 9 p.m. and 6 a.m., except signs permitted for medical services and public services such as police and fire, which are provided on a 24-hour basis. These are lit from essentially dusk till dawn. So we would respectfully, number one, request, it's not going to happen, but the wall be removed. For the longest time when we were living there, as they would open up new plots, they would notify us by letter. So these things that were, essentially a quarter, half a mile away from us, we would get a letter in the mail. Just out of the blue, they started building this thing, and we had no notification of it at all. In fact, it's interesting to note, they also have a gatehouse at the top of the hill on Indiana, and now they've turned the lights out. And I can only presume that the lights are out now because the neighbors of Solterra there have complained about those lights, which are literally probably 5 to 10% of the brightness of this thing. So Essentially, what I would love to see is the code be enforced, that these things, the lights go off at 9 p.m. and between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. Love to have the thing taken down, but I'm sure that's not going to happen. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Gribbins.
Thank you.
Gina Holland, please.
We'll keep the slides going anyway. I'm Gina Holland. Last name is Holland. I live at 2669 South Howell Street, and actually our house is directly behind the sign, 2 houses up from Doug. I've been original property owner for 19 years, built in about 1995. And basically this thing is 20 foot tall by 8 foot wide by 80 foot long. And the hill that it's built on used to be high enough that it would actually block the street from our view and from people's view, and we got a little buffer from pedestrian traffic and car traffic. Part of the reason why I built here and picked that lot is I knew Indiana was going to be behind us, but I built it on purpose because I knew I'd have a buffer between me and the next set of houses coming by. The one thing, and I had no expectation it would ever not be developed, but the one expectation I never had that would be a developer would be able to build this huge structure behind me without any kind of public notice and any meetings. It's pretty much been a negative impact to our quality of life that we've been used to for the last 19 years and our property values. The current conditions is that, again, they were not allowed. My understanding is why they were not allowed to do this is because in the overall Sotero planning, they had a master sign plan that allowed them to have administrative approval of this. This is why they did not have any kind of public meetings. We did actually meet with them after they started digging the hill out and started building this. And they said, oh, well, we'll at least work with you on the landscaping. Well, that didn't happen. They installed permanent irrigation and the 3 trees that are supposed to help block our view of that sign. And that's all they've done. Pedestrian traffic also has moved to the top of that hill. There's a sidewalk that leads up to it. But people don't like to turn back around, so they actually walk between the tree that's shown in the back of that and have made a trail down the side of the hill. They let their dogs run off leash, probably leaving deposits between our fence and this. And that's part of our concern. There's just a lot more pedestrian traffic now up there that comes and disturbs the peace and quiet we have. They can look straight into my family room and bedroom windows at night. We haven't experienced a summer yet, but we expect that the kids may start congregating here in the middle of the night. I guess how to fix this? Obviously it's there. And as Doug said, turning the lights off night is one of them. Also, because this almost is like a park, to me there should be signage that says the park hours are between 5 a.m. and 11 p.m., just like any other Lakewood park where people can congregate. And also, if Lakewood at all could help intervene through their planning department to help us work with Solterra and come up with a landscaping plan that could possibly build a hedge, some shorter shrubs that doesn't block our view, what's left of red rocks, but to help block people from being able to walk along the top of the hill. And again, can't express, especially the lighting issue is just horrible. I mean, it's literally going to come into our bedroom windows at night come this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Holland. Joel, come on down.
Good evening, Mayor Murphy and City Council. My name is Joel Zachrich. I reside at 2667 South Howell Street, 80228. I'm a Lakewood resident citizen. I'm upset about the monument of Solterra at the south entrance. It is large and on the wrong side of the tracks, so to speak. It's on the east side of Indiana Street, whereas Solterra is on the west side. That would be like Belmar putting a sign in front of Walgreens and claiming that corner also. It's as large as a billboard as far as square footage, and no one wants a billboard behind their house. And then to be lit up at night as it is. The lights were supposed to be low voltage as per a meeting we had with Kara Mueller of Planning and the Solterra management that met us in July. It uses very high intensity lights that are on all night. It is now a public place that invites people to the monument, which prior was not supposed to be developed and not as a public as it is now. A realtor has made a comment that our home values will take up to a 20% loss due to the monument and what angle or what impression one gets from this monument. I wish that some common sense could have been used here. There may be no rules against putting a large monument here, but there needs to be some common sense applied to some procedures. Solterra has a lot of new families living here, and the kids grow up, this will invite them to hang out at this monument. The monument can conceal them, and the height will encourage them to walk on the ledge wall, which is 20 feet high. If someone slips and makes a 20-foot fall, there will be serious injuries. Solterra just wanted to make themselves look larger in doing this monument. It's not even at the beginning of the development. Another questionable disappointment for me. It has divided our neighborhoods, and Lakewood Linked is not working here due to the monument, which the city of Lakewood allowed to be developed and built. As you can see in these pictures, the ledge comes about waist high, the wall around it. And I can just imagine in a few years when these little kids that have moved into Solterra grow up to be early teenagers, they will climb up on that ledge right there and see if they can walk all the way around it. And maybe they're going to be doing some drinking because you can hide in there. You can observe all the traffic. If they see a police car, they just duck down. If someone was to stop to approach them, they're going to hurl their stuff in my backyard or Gina Holland's backyard. It's an eyesore for me. We've had to change our way at home due to the closing the drapes. We don't want to look at it anymore. This is the view off of my back deck. It's large. It's annoying. And there's the one picture there you can see on the left where Solterra starts. And it's further up the road. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in chambers wishes to offer public comment on a non-agenda item?
Tom Stalker, Mayor. I've been here before. I wanted to pick up on your comments about civility. As you all know, back in the election, there were 3 conservatives elected to the Jefferson County School Board. And since then, the school board meetings have been chaotic, right out of Rules from Radicals by Osinski. I think this panel, this board should take a strong stand, pass a resolution, not condemning the views of anybody. Everybody has different political views, but condemning the uncivilized, boisterous, out-of-bounds behavior demonstrated by many of the participants in those meetings, especially some of the teachers who are taking that into the classrooms, I understand. I think it would be gutsy for you folks tonight to pass a resolution condemning uncivilized behavior in any public forum. You wouldn't put up with it here, and I think you should tell the people of Lakewood that it should not be tolerated in the school board meetings.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, with that, we'll close public comment. The folks from that were talking about the Solterra Monument have just left, but I know that the City Manager Kathy Hodson has a quick report on follow-up.
That's right. I got a name and phone number, and I will be following up. I'll have staff follow up with these folks.
Thank you. Anything? All right. Mr. Stockert, we're not going to suggest to other governing boards how to operate their business. So we get those suggestions from time to time. We're not going to get involved in that. All right. So with that, we will go on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is been made to expedite council actions. Resolutions are items of a routine nature. Hang on a sec here. Are items of a routine nature, and members of the public will have an opportunity in a moment to comment on any of the proposed resolutions. First reading ordinances appear on the agenda only for the purpose of setting future public hearing dates and ordering the newspaper publication of the proposed ordinance. And actually, we don't have any ordinances tonight, so we're going to skip that. Any council member may request the one resolution that's on the agenda tonight be removed for separate discussion and action under general business. Will the clerk please read the items on the consent agenda into the record? Item.
The consent agenda does consist of item 6 only. Item 6, Resolution 2014-8, authorizing the First Amendment to the restated Lakewood Police Money Purchase Pension Plan and Trust Agreement.
Thank you. I'll open the public comment on the resolution. No one's indicated a desire to speak by signing up on the roster. Would anyone in chambers wish to comment on this item? With that, I will close public comment, and I'm ready for a motion.
Mayor Murphy, I move for adoption of resolutions, all of which are included in the consent agenda items introduced into the record by the city clerk.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I serve on the police pension board, and I'll just simply say this is a long-awaited item that aligns us with new IRS regulations. It's really as simple as that. It took way longer than it should have, but that particular agency sometimes takes a while to communicate back with us. So that's all this is about. All right, so with that, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, please cast your votes. And the motion passes unanimously. All right, on to the next part of the agenda. We do have 2 second reading ordinances. So will the clerk please introduce item 7?
Item 7, Ordinance 2014-5, authorizing the repair of Bear Creek Lake Park facilities, including a supplemental appropriation to the 2014 annual budget, further declaring an emergency.
Thank you. We have no staff presentation, so therefore I will open this for public comment. No one's indicated desire to comment on it by signing up on the roster. Would anybody like to speak on this matter? If not, public comment is closed. I'm ready for a motion.
Mayor Murphy, I move for the adoption of ordinance 2014-5 on second and final reading.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. This is a rare circumstance where we are declaring an emergency, so we don't have to go through the normal waiting period for an ordinance to go into effect, so that we can get out there and start making these repairs. Any discussion? All right, if not, please cast your votes. And it passes 10-0. The clerk, please read item 8 into the record.
Item 8, Ordinance 2014-6, amending Title 5 of the Lakewood Municipal Code by adding a new Chapter 5.29 regarding licensing of commercial waste haulers operating in the city of Lakewood, Colorado.
Thank you. For this, we do have a staff presentation, and I would invite our Director of Planning, Travis Parker.
Good evening.
Welcome again.
Thank you again. Good evening, all. My name is Travis Parker, Planning Director with the City of Lakewood. As you're all aware, every few years the city does a community survey to find out what's important to the citizens of Lakewood. And as you know, Lakewood's a diverse community with a lot of diverse opinions, and most of what we hear back is a range of different opinions on varying items, and we very rarely see a lot of the same opinion on one issue. Well, there is one issue that has been, in the last 2 surveys, the top most supported idea of any question in those surveys. And that has been the answer to the question, should the city invest more in recycling programs and services? In 2010, that response was 93% positive. In 2013, last year's survey, that was 96% of Lakewood residents said yes to that question. And this is a survey that received nearly 1,000 responses, which is statistically significant. at a rate of less than 3% deviation. So meaning somewhere between 93 and 99% of Lakewood citizens feel that the city should be doing more to support recycling in the city. Other questions received about recycling received similar responses. 94% said that the city should increase the number of strategies that it uses to attract recycling. And 94% of Lakewood citizens said that curbside recycling should be standard at every property in the city. So what is the city doing now? Well, right now we are underperforming in the area of recycling. Our sustainability staff estimates that between 9 and 12% of the trash in Lakewood is diverted from landfills to recycle and recycled. To put this number in some perspective, communities that have invested significantly in terms of time and money in the issue of recycling, communities like Fort Collins and Loveland, are diverting 50% or more of their trash into and recycling that waste. 50% of the trash in a community like Lakewood is a very significant amount, and that's something that we are taking seriously, and we are looking into ways to improve our performance. Some of those ways include looking at additional, static recycling facilities. Improving the capacity and the number of facilities, like the Quayle Street recycling facility. Another might be adding more drop-off days. The city does recycling drop-off days like that. A third is responding to that 94% and improving our curbside recycling in the city of Lakewood, and that's something that we're taking very seriously as well. Now, for those first two, we have a lot of information. We know the number of people that use the Quayle Street recycling facility. We know the pounds of recycling material that they bring every year. We know how many people use our drop-off centers, and we know how much poundage they bring and what types of materials they bring. We have next to no information about curbside recycling in the city of Lakewood. We don't know where it's available. We don't know how much it costs. We don't know what service providers provide it and where they are operating. We just don't have enough information for you to make an informed decision about any decision about curbside recycling in the city of Lakewood. And that's why we're here tonight. The proposal tonight is not a proposal to create a new recycling program. It's not a proposal to require Lakewood haulers to recycle. It's not a proposal that has anything to do with immediate changes to how recycling happens in Lakewood or how trash hauling happens in Lakewood. The proposal tonight is simply to create a licensure program so that we can formalize our communications with our trash haulers in Lakewood. Right now, as I said, we don't know who hauls trash in Lakewood. We know that some of the big companies do, but we don't know where. We don't know which small companies do or how many people they serve. And these are bits of information that are very helpful in determining what services are available now and how much they cost and who can get them and things like that. So the proposal tonight is to create that licensure program, help us identify those things, and start collecting information that will help you make more informed decisions on trash hauling in the city and curbside recycling in the city. It also has other benefits. Having a licensure program like this does help the city better serve its residents. It helps us by being able to provide information about who's providing the service in our city. Other cities that license their trash haulers, and there are only 2 other cities in this part of Colorado that don't. Other cities provide on their website the names and contact informations of the companies that haul trash in their city and that are licensed to work in their city. And we certainly could and would do that with this information. It allows us to set hours of operation so that if the city gets a call about someone picking up trash at 5:30 in the morning or 11:30 at night, we actually have a regulation that enables us to do something about it. It lets us determine whether trash haulers are properly insured to do their business. It lets us make sure that state vehicle inspections for safety have been properly updated. And finally, it provides us a mechanism to respond to citizen comments and complaints about trash hauling so that we are actually provided with enough information to respond to complaints and regulations that we can point to as well. So that's why we're here tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about the proposal and about what might be coming in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Travis. And again, this proposal includes a licensing fee of $50 per year, right?
Correct. That is correct.
Thank you. All right. I will now open the public hearing on this item. And I should say I will open public comment on this item. And there's a few people have indicated desire to speak. First is Mr. Clifford. Welcome back, Fred. Haven't seen you in a while.
Busy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Fred Clifford. I don't want to spend much of my time talking about the downside to this ordinance because I think that's pretty common sense. It's essentially if with the licensing, playing the mother may I game, it somewhat limits or diminishes competition, and when you do that, it obviously diminishes the value that consumers receive by either raising the prices or lowering the service, or in most cases both. So when you limit competition, the consumer suffers always. So I think that's pretty common sense. I think everybody understands that. If you don't understand that, it's simple economics. You probably shouldn't be here. But I don't know if there's an upside to this ordinance. And I know there are some excuses. I haven't heard too many. And I kind of wanted to debunk some of the excuses that I could think of. One of them is the matter of efficiency. And you know, I know this is just a small step, but licensing is one of the excuses is, well, in this matter, we need government to provide more efficiency by, you know, controlling the things that we the citizens should control ourselves, and somehow we're going to get more efficiency out of that. Well, the reality is every time that's ever happened, the opposite has happened. When government does things that they're supposed to do, many governments can do things very efficiently. When they do things that they're not supposed to do, when they step out of their realm of responsibility and step into the realm of the free market and free enterprise, all kinds of problems happen. You diminish efficiency. So, and that's been proven over and over and over and over throughout time. I think another excuse is that it's just a small step, and, you know, we're not sending people to gulags or whatever. It's just a small little step. And I call that incrementalism, and that's a big problem. We have not lost our freedom in a big chunk like, you know, like North Korea or something like that. We've lost our freedom just a little bit at a time over the last century or whatever. And I call that incrementalism, and it's a big problem. So please do not cause the consumers in this city to suffer. Please vote no on this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clifford. Lori Simpkins. Hi there.
Lori Simpkins, 1756 South Van Dyke Way. Thank you, councilors, for hearing us tonight. Sorry, you may be able to hear me. I wanted to thank the councilors who sent out surveys asking for public opinions on this topic. I do understand the need for this ordinance, and I'm in agreement with it. I do think that it's a good way that we can control recycling and possibly curbside composting along with recycling. However, one of the questions on the survey was regarding one common trash hauler. I do not believe in that. As an individual business owner, it would be the same as if we said there was too much traffic on the streets, so we need to have only one grocery store in the city of Lakewood. Well, for all of you Safeway lovers, you're stuck at Whole Foods. That's not what our economy is about. It's not what our marketplace is about. It's not what our free choice is about. It's about me as a business owner offering you the best customer service at the best price. And that's where I want this to not lead to. So, thank you.
Thank you. Dominic Moreno. Come on down, sir.
Good evening, Mayor Murphy, members of council. Dominic Moreno, 5075 East 74th Avenue, Commerce City, Colorado. Mayor and council, here representing tonight Republic Services. Republic Services is a trash and recycling company based out of Commerce City. We have a number of customers that we serve, commercial, residential, and industrial, in the city of Lakewood. And we're here tonight to lend our support for this ordinance. Republic Services shares council's desire to provide for minimum safety standards for all waste haulers in the city. And we appreciate the city creating a framework where the city can partner with the waste haulers in order for the city to foster that open dialogue and for the city to get the critical information that it needs around its waste programs. Republic Services currently provides this information to a number of other cities, and we value that partnership that we have with them. Each city approaches this issue a little differently. Some require licensure, others have single hauler programs, and we at Republic Services are open to you to serve as a resource. So feel free to call me or my colleagues anytime if you have further questions on any of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Moreno. We appreciate it. Tom Stocker, please.
Get 2 bites at the apple tonight?
Sure you do, man. You got 2 different topics.
Different topic. Tom Stocker, obviously. I saw this, just became aware of this over the weekend, this ordinance. I don't remember ever seeing any survey from the bureaucrats here, but while this ordinance seems non-controversial, I smell a rat. Okay, and here's the rat. The rat's in the language summarizing it. That the city can appropriately plan the services that might be needed by citizens in the future. To follow up on Fred's comment about incrementalism, I don't know why the city wants to get in the business of managing the trash haulers. There's 3 or 4 come on my street. I pay $207 a year. The guy who's the driver, Sergio, he runs. The rat I smell is that down the road, not this administration, not this year, 5 years from now, I see City of Lakewood trash haulers, unionized workers that take their breaks, and pretty soon my costs are doubled. I just don't think the city should interfere with capitalism. Trash hauling is true capitalism, believe me. If I don't like the guy I've got, I'll get someone else. I'll get the Republic guy here or whoever. Okay, so all I got to do is pick up the phone. The city shouldn't be involved in that. It just creates another bureaucracy, another expense. It's going to get passed on to me as a consumer at some point. And there's some problems with the ordinance itself. I don't know why the city of Lakewood would be named as an additional insured. That makes no sense to me as a lawyer. I mean, I don't know who came up with this stuff, but I didn't write it. So just stay out of the trash business. Just let it manage itself. It does fine. And if recycling was so great, why doesn't it pay for itself? I haven't seen anything that tells me recycling pays for itself. And I'm not going to subsidize somebody else's recycling. If it can pay for itself, fine. So I would vote no. And I would encourage all of you to vote no. Now you won't hear from me again tonight because you won't let me speak again. Thank you.
You're right. Thank you. Good to hear from you twice, Tom. Dan Smith. Oh, there you are.
Hi, Dan Smith, 1000 South Marshall Street in Lakewood. Like some of the other people, I am worried about this being anti-competitive. I worry about it leading towards a monopoly at some point down the road. Several years ago, I had a problem with my trash hauler. Took a couple of phone calls, got great service, got a better price. If the city gets involved, I won't have that option in the future, and neither will anybody else in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment on this item? All right. Oh, Derek, come on down. I'm going to get in trouble for saying this because I have a 1-year-old grandson, but that's about the best behaved baby in the city of Lakewood. Yes. You guys have been to many meetings lately, and unbelievable.
He just hangs out with
Yeah. Welcome again, Derek.
I just want to say I agree with the concept of incrementalism and some of our freedoms being removed over the last century in this country, but the idea of trash hauling, I'm tired of 5 trash trucks on my street every week or more. You know, that's really unsustainable. We all know that recycling and composting is the future for our city and for the world, and that this is kind of a step in the right direction, and that it's a way that we can kind of consolidate and be on the right page. And I know I don't have the statistics, but I would say that probably over 70% of the rest of the country has consolidated trash services in their communities. So, I know it's kind of a stretch, and the middle of the country doesn't do it, but I think if you look to the coasts and to the rest of the country, you'd find the cities have trash and recycling programs. So I don't think that this is outside the box at all.
All right, thanks. Anyone else? All right, with that, we'll close public comment, and I will just say that a couple of things before we start. This is indeed a very modest proposal. The purposes are clearly stated in the request for council action, were clearly stated by Mr. Parker. To begin just gathering information, it's unquestionably a desire of more than 90% of our residents to at least have more options when it comes to recycling. Just under no circumstances is the city going to get into the waste hauling business, the trash hauling business. Forget about it. All right, so let's just forget about it. Let's just stop that rumor right now. It's simply not going to happen. Our finance director, Larry Dorr, is sitting in the back room. He's shaking his head so vigorously he's going to get a headache. It's just not. It's not even conceivable in our financial situation. So, Clark is busily writing down my quote. I am on record. The city of Lakewood is not going to get into the trash hauling business. So. With that, I'll have another comment later, but with that, Councilor Barraway, your light is on.
Thanks, Mayor. I just I know that Travis is with our planning department, but we have several other businesses that we license in the city of Lakewood. And I don't know if Tim can help me out. We have the pawn shops, liquor stores. We have massage therapists that we worked on a few years back. It runs the gamut. So it's not that we're trying to be anti-competitive. It's just a way of us keeping track of who the people are that are doing business in the city of Lakewood. It's a $50 fee a year. And I can't remember, but I think we have higher fees than that for other businesses that do business in the city of Lakewood. I'm getting some nods. I'm guessing I'm on the right track here from Tim and Kathy and Travis. Thank you.
Councilor Wickman?
Being a limited government free market person, I'm of course concerned about this is going to lead down to the road of sooner or later we're going to have a single hauler. It probably won't be the city, but I suspect they'll probably put a bid out to some company, and that company would have the monopoly. But anyway, that's I'm not going to start sermonizing. But I'm going to have a question. We're talking about we need information on recycling. Well, yeah, I'm a big recycler. I'm a big believer in all that sort of stuff. But if you need information, has anybody thought about just going through the phone book and calling everybody and asking if they provide a service and how much? It seems like a couple afternoons of an employee on the phone would solve this problem, and we wouldn't have to get into this road of, are we going into more government? Like, to me, I don't want to do any more government if we don't have to. Why don't we just make some phone calls?
Well, a couple reasons. One is that's an awful lot of staff time. We put some staff time a couple years ago into just contacting communities around us and finding out what information they had. That took, I think, a summer intern, a lot of time just to collect information from communities, much less from the trash haulers. We probably have somewhere between, I think, 15 and 20 trash haulers in the city. And we have no idea, who's doing what where. More than that, they don't have any responsibility or requirement to tell us what they're doing, who their customers are, how many miles they do. This, licensure, part of the application for this licensure is providing the information of what their services are in the city of Lakewood.
Well, my instinct, if you want to, I can get on the phone for an afternoon. I have a feeling they'll answer my question, but whatever.
All right. There's obviously more to this, including a very important public safety component. Councillor Paul, Councillor Kellen, and then Councillor Quinn.
Well, I too, I guess I would call myself a free market guy, considering I'm a small businessman. And when the government would call my business and ask for my rates, I would not tell them my rates. That's another business. So I don't know if that sample would be a very good sample to try to produce. And there's a couple of things, as a small businessman, where I do have some concerns, and I'm in a highly regulated industry. And one, though, that has seen from, I think, probably 350 companies over the last few years to over 700 companies. So we're highly regulated, and that hasn't stopped competition. So there was a comment about if you don't know how competition works, you shouldn't be up here. There are a few different ways that competition works, and actually in my industry, the market's been flooded. I also wanted to touch on something as far as unions go. I don't believe this is a union issue, especially to the fact that the city of Lakewood doesn't have any unions operating within its employee base. Where I would like to direct a couple of my questions, though, one is 5.29.030B. That has a provision that a copy of the commercial waste hauler license must be kept in each licensee's vehicle. And I guess I'd like the council to maybe consider changing that to keeping that type of certificate in the location of the actual office where the company office is out of. A company like Republic or one of the larger ones might have 200, 300 trucks, and every year to run off copies and put in each truck, I think, could be a tremendous waste. So I'd like to consider just keeping a license at the Office of Business. And then the second question I had pertains about hours of operation at 7 to 10 p.m. And I understand the logic for that. The question, though, is I know in our commercial corridors, it seems like we have trucks that are out early, trying to get out of the way of our busier areas. So going to restaurants and things like that. I think of the Union Corridor, you'll see trucks out there at like 4 or 5 a.m., trying to get to those trash bins so that they're not fighting that later in the day. So I would kind of like to get an idea of where we came up with that and see if that is something that we could look at. I also wanted to see about having this be done via the internet to make it streamlined and simple for the registration. And let's see here. There's one other. I think that's it for right now. So that's kind of where I'm at.
To respond to all three of those things, first, I don't foresee a problem with, from our perspective, from changing the language to just requiring a copy in the office rather than in each truck. I think that's acceptable. The hours of operation, if you'll note, that is just when the activities take place within 300 feet of a residential use or a hotel. So if there's nobody around to complain, then they can do it in the middle of the night. And then your final point was, what was your final question?
The online registration.
And we've looked into that. Absolutely, we can make this available online, the registration process available online.
And I appreciate the residential aspect. Union Boulevard, though, I mean, we do have hotels. So is there an exemption?
Well, I guess the question is, do you want an exemption where you have people sleeping?
Well, it's a commercial corridor. I would leave that to council. I leave that to council. The $1 million, is that per state of Colorado? For general liability?
I believe some of that was a standard language when we were discussing with the city clerk.
It's standard coverage for a commercial general liability policy to have $1 million in coverage. That's pretty standard. It's a basic.
I know in some industries that the state regulates, it varies from 1.5 to 5 to 1. So I was just curious where that number came from.
I think it was pretty universal in the other ordinances that we looked at around the area.
Thank you.
All right. Councillor Quinn and then Councillor Callan. That was the order, I think. Tom?
Okay, briefly. Well, the main comment I was going to make is this is really a common sense measure. We've actually been talking about this since March of 2011. It's time to move forward and start gathering this information we need. And I wasn't aware that Councillor Paul was going to make those possible motion or bring up those possible amendments, but I was just going to add that I wouldn't be opposed to removing the requirement that they have to have the license in every vehicle. I'm not sure that really is an essential part of the ordinance. And, of course, online registration. I think we should make this as easy as possible for the applicants. So that's all I have. Thank you.
We actually started this in 2008 with our Advisory Commission for an Inclusive Community, right? So, in a sense, shame on us. This has taken a long, long time. Councillor Kellen.
Yeah, I would have to echo that opinion. I find that our recycling rates are embarrassing for a city of our size and for our efforts in general on the sustainability realm. So I applaud this effort. It is minimal. I believe it allows us to have a low-cost way of having information from the haulers and having that information updated on a regular basis. And so it's very good for that. And also I like the idea of having the licensed waste haulers on the website, because I know when I first moved to the city and I was told I had to arrange my own trash, it would be nice to be able to know who's licensed, and you at least know you have someone who's reputable, who's not taking your trash from your yard and dumping it in some empty field somewhere. So I think this is a minimal regulation, and probably shouldn't make this comment, but I personally think that I'd like my trash haulers to get a break in accordance with the law. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else wish to make a comment? Councillor Johnson?
Thank you. Well, I do have a little different take on this. Just a little bit of background. 2 weeks ago, this ordinance appeared on our agenda, and for me it was really quite by surprise. I asked the question if this topic would not be appropriate for a study session. There had been one, March of 2011. Additionally, we were told that much work had been done to prepare for this ordinance. I asked, why are we to need this ordinance? And I was told to collect data in order to know how many companies operate in Lakewood. I was told the trash trucks are tearing up our roads, and a survey says that people want curbside recycling. I asked, why don't we just look through the yellow pages? I asked that too, and call the companies and ask them if they serve in Lakewood. Additionally, I said, if a customer wants curbside recycling, they can call their company and ask that company if provides that, and if they don't, change to a company that does. Frankly, it seemed very simple to me. For 2 weeks now, I have been talking trash. 2 weeks ago, I got copies of the minutes from the 2011 study session, a memorandum from the Recycling Subcommittee of the Employees Committee from 2009, an ACIC Environmental Committee document on recycling dated 2008. You're right. A 2008 executive summary, a CML PowerPoint that included information about Lakewood, and this topic actually dated to 1980. And finally, the Sustainability Work Plan. All is very interesting reading. But now it's 2014, and I had some immediate questions. What is the difference in the cost to the citizens? I started asking questions of people in Fort Collins and Golden. Everyone said that mandated curbside recycling substantially raised their rates, and they were angry because they no longer got to choose their trash company. How many other cities are doing mandated curbside recycling and have gone to one trash company? This information is actually a little harder to find. CML did not have a spreadsheet. However, Commerce City, Golden, Fort Collins, Greenwood Village, incidentally, they told me that they have a single company and the city provides it free. And Durango, I'm sure there's many other municipalities that do. I do not understand how cities got to a single hauler system when there is a statute that disallows cities from competing. The 2008 executive summary stated we would eventually, quote, require curbside recycling. This will drive up cost. Additionally, there are recommendations to increase recycling in city parks and at all city facilities. I don't know if we even did that. Basically, folks could bring their recyclables to one location instead of the curbside. Frankly, this seems like a good idea to me. In reading the minutes of the March 2011 study session, it was stated that, quote, they reviewed the efforts of other municipalities in the area of recyclables, yard waste, and household trash. That's great. But the findings were not submitted in the minutes, even though there were recommendations. I don't know how you recommend something if you don't say what the findings were. Additionally, in those minutes, it was decided that information gathering regarding what is already happening in Lakewood with trash haulers and recycling should take place by staff. That sounds good. And City Council will concentrate on getting the word out regarding cost-effective opportunities for residents in the area of recycling, unquote. I ask, would encouraging neighbors and homeowners associations to shop and use a single hauler on their street fit here? This would likely reduce the fees and the number of trucks. Our best role might be that of education. In conclusion, the stated goals are laudable. I agree with them. Noise and pollution reduction, wear and tear on our streets, safety, decreasing the number of trucks in the neighborhoods, and recycling. That is all reasonable. Licensing in and of itself is not bad. But what are the plausible long-term consequences? For me, the ultimate goal is confusing. Licensing usually puts you on a trajectory toward a chain of events. You go from licensing to regulation to mandates, and for some cities, it ended up with a single hauler system that led to higher prices and no choices. Licensing is not business friendly. In other cities, the number of trash haulers declined substantially. What is at stake here is that basically, in my opinion, free enterprise. It would have been helpful to have had a side-by-side comparison of how different cities have approached this. The ordinance was introduced rather quickly without even a mention at our retreat. It would have been helpful for the four new counselors to have been given background information. If a proposed ordinance is worthy of being codified, it will stand on its own merit after thoughtful debate and dialogue. We don't have a deadline. This is not, there's not a time here. We need objective data regarding damage to our streets. Lakewood has many trucks on our streets, and when I've looked at the trash trucks, they've got 8 wheels in the back, which disperses the weight. Jefferson stated, "Government is best that governs least." We want to encourage competition. For me, I have too many unanswered questions and do not understand really what our final goal is. I will be voting no.
Thank you. Councilor Roybal.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Tonight, we're considering the licensing of commercial garbage haulers. We first were told we would be discussing registration of commercial haulers, something that we need because we were told we have no way of knowing haulers are operating in the city. Then we discovered in May of 2008, ACIC documents already lists the haulers who operate in the city. The ordinance we are considering is also saying that commercial haulers constitute a significant component of the traffic in the city and contribute to road wear, air pollution, noise, and safety issues. Do we have anything to back up that claim? Do we have police statistics on safety violations? Are there public works reports on street damages directly related to garbage trucks? What are the estimates of the amount of pollution of these trucks contribute to our air? Are they required to meet state emission standards? And doesn't the noise ordinance address the question of operating times? I believe it does not allow garbage truck pickup before 7 a.m. in residential areas. If we want to expand the specific distance from homes, we should do it in the noise ordinance. I also have a question about words of tonight's ordinance. It may not have been intended, but it appears to me that this words could require licenses and steep insurance costs for the small operator of hauling services. People who have pickup and flatbed trucks, a spirit of free enterprise, and a wish to be productive. They often work on a periodic basis, coming up each spring, each fall, or both, to help our residents keep the yards and the acreage neat, uncluttered, and brush piles, scrap lumber, drywall, and other trash, recyclables or not. These, Joe the Hauler, small businesses, a single pickup truck do not present a $1 million risk that larger haulers with more than bigger trucks present. This ordinance also seems to say the builders, demolition contractors, and landscape who hauls away job site waste are exempt, but apparently does not allow them to subcontract with a small hauler to haul away job site waste or landscape debris. And what about the tree trimmers who need a subcontract for waste hauling? It also seems to allow small haulers who recycle limbs, leaves, and bushes to work unregistered and unregulated, but it imposes a costly burden on those who haul such things to the dump, but presents no additional risk. They're the green competitors. That would seem to be an unfair and could be discriminatory business practice. How will we notify all businesses, large and small, about the licensing process? We say it's unlawful to operate without a license, but what's the consequence? Are there any penalties? The proposal we are considering is also placed what appears to be a lot more work in the hands of the city clerk's office, which already has been increased duties from other recent approved ordinances, including campaign finance ordinance, and everyone agrees Margie and her staff have a full plate, and we keep piling it on with no additional funding or no more for more and more work. And that brings me to another point. This ordinance says that the city manager can set and change the license fee. This puts the city employee in the position of setting the standards. Setting policy is the job, this is our job as counselors. And that brings me to another question. What will it cost us? Ongoing expense, startup costs, estimates should be considered in all of our decisions, especially such potentially costly proposals as we could be. And what liability does licensing pose for the city? $1 million license or $1 million insurance policy is required to list as the city additionally insured. But what damages above $1 million seems that we could have additional costs, including legal fees, such and should some catastrophic incident happen. Without licensing, the city does not have any liability. For licensing, there should be a performance-based standard, and this wording requires few or no performance-based licensing standards, such as day of operation, frequency of pickup, minimum service level, how complaints are handled, whether door-to-door or door-to-curb service is available for disabled. Instead, it seems to be directed towards some proposed sustainability idea. There's nothing wrong with real sustainability, but this ordinance, we are told, is about garbage service, not recycling. Why do we only register building contractors, but yet this ordinance will license trash haulers? It seems this idea comes from council members who make no secret that they want a single garbage provider for each part or all of the city of Lakewood. And I think that this is where we are headed if we take this first step. And we talk about that step, dispute the findings of our recent citizen survey, which shows little support for this idea. And in fact, according to its survey, 66% of the people who returned the survey said that they did not recycle, even though it was available citywide. That's 2/3 of the people who were who we represent. And the survey was limited to randomly selected Lakewood citizens only. And the other result of the survey, which polling standards say is the only statistically proper survey we have done on garbage service, shows that concerns about street damage, noise pollution, and safety and concerns to be little or no concern to our residents. 75% have little or no concerns about number of garbage trucks in our streets. I realize we are here to represent all our citizens or all our Lakewood residents, so let's not forget to represent the majority. I have documents supporting my comments and would expect that anyone with other beliefs on the issue provide documents, facts, to back up their words and not reply to the city online moving forward questionnaire full of opinionated questions designed to draw a predetermined answer provided by few people who knows where. If we are going to pay thousands of dollars for citizen surveys, shouldn't we be responsive to its results? I ran for office to represent and protect our community, its people and its small businesses, and protect our right to choose the company they are doing business with. Because the unanswered questions about our ordinance and its potential threat of small businesses, I will not be supporting this ordinance. And I will tell you in advance that I will not support limiting the number of service providers in the future, because neither support our community core values. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roybal.
Can I follow up?
Yeah, follow up by Councillor Paul, and then Shakti, and then Councillor Koo.
Councillor Roybal, thank you for that. I had a quick follow-up, if I may. Is that okay? To your does 5.29.030 parts 3 and 4, don't they satisfy the requirement for the small folks?
I don't have that in front of me.
Oh. So 3 is a property owner or agent thereof who transports waste to recycle. Well, I don't need to read it, but 3 and 4, I think, is the provisions that are actually put in place to address the issue of the landscape folks and the scrappers and folks like that not operating on a commercial basis.
What about the subcontractors?
I think 3 and 4 actually talk about that. Therefore, property owner or agent thereof, and then 4 is a demolition or construction contractor or landscaper who produces and transports. So I just want to clarify. I think this ordinance tried to put those in, and if you have language to offer that would better satisfy, I think the board would welcome that.
At this time, I don't have that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Shakti?
I just want to say that I am supportive of this because I'm looking forward to having a conversation about, I appreciate the safety standards that'll be put in for the trash, but then I'm also looking forward to a conversation about trash and recycling. And contrary to what I'm hearing here, I don't think that the outcome of that conversation is predetermined. I think that taking this step just allows us to get the information we need to have that conversation. And one of the concerns I'm hearing is that people want to see continued competition, and there's concern about the potential one-hauler solution. And that is just one of a myriad of different things that council will look at. And so, in my mind at least, that's not where we're headed necessarily. We're just starting a conversation, and that is one piece of a much larger conversation.
Thank you. Councillor Coop?
I have a question. I don't know if it's with Mr. Cox or Mr. Parker. Do we not license liquor stores?
Yes, among other businesses.
Okay. Christmas tree sellers?
Yes, lots, tree lots.
Pawn shops? Yes. Just to address the issue that's come up that we're limiting by licensing, that we're going to be limiting, I think that there are 3 businesses just right there that prove that just licensing them, you're not going to limit the competition. Mr. Parker, isn't there already the rules that when these operators can operate from 7 in the morning till 10 at night, 9 at night?
You're saying, does Lakewood already have such rules?
Yes.
I think the noise ordinance addresses that to some extent.
So those rules are already there. That's not changing anything. And as far as calling the people themselves, I know if I was a company, and I was at one point in time a small business, I wouldn't want somebody else representing me with this information. This is my business. This is going to be my business card with the city of Lakewood, with the residents, when this is put on the website. This is the company giving their own information, and I'm thinking that they're going to want to put their best foot forward to get their information out there to try to get this business for people looking there. So I like this. I think it's time, and I would support this ordinance just the way it is.
Thank you. Councillor Wickman, and then Councillor Kellen, and then I'll ask for a motion.
A question. Shakti was talking about safety standards, or I thought we were collecting information. Is there something about we're setting some standards other than the insurance? Is there some safety standards we're setting?
I believe the insurance is the primary issue. I think there was some requirement to maintain your vehicle inspection.
Well, there's a reference about we want to continue federal and state safety regulations, but federal and state safety regulations would be regulated anyway. I don't think we're getting involved. So I guess I'm a little curious as when you made that comment, how are we involved in safety standards?
You're right. We're not creating any new ones, but in order to get this license, they would have to certify that they're meeting their federal and state standards,
which they have to do anyway. Okay, whatever.
Okay, Councillor Kellen.
Sure. I think we have to look at what we're really trying to do here. What we're trying to do is set up a simple licensing procedure for one of the many industries that we have in our community. And it is not the only licensing procedure. It's not the first one. It's not the last one. In fact, many businesses, legitimate businesses, actually prefer to have licensing because it ensures that the legitimate businesses are the ones operating, and you don't have some shoddy businesses that are coming in and making a bad name for everyone. So I think licensing is a pretty standard governmental function to ensure a basic level of functionality and responsibility by the companies in our community. And while some of these requirements may exist in other forms, federal law, for instance, I don't think the federal government currently has a lot of funds to spend on enforcing a lot of these at this level. So what we're adding is another layer not necessarily a layer of government. It's just ensuring that companies are complying with the laws that are already out there. And it basically, what it does is it takes away the incentive for companies who are trying to skirt the law and come in the back door and not do the right thing. So it puts all companies, it puts the good acting companies on a level playing field with those companies who are not abiding by standards. And frankly, I think there is a bigger discussion to be had. And despite the allegations made by some people on this council or wherever those allegations came from, I don't think there's any predetermined answers to this. I think we all listen to the community, and competition's a big deal in this community. I think we need to find a way to have recycling more available. I mean, frankly, I think recycling should be more available than trash hauling because that will encourage more recycling. That doesn't mean that's where we're going to end up, because there's a lot of discussions, a lot of information that has to be gathered. But our senior citizens can't be expected to take their recycling over to the recycling center. It's just unrealistic. We need to make it easy for people to do this. And I think one of our commenters made the comment that this is the future. We can recycle this material and try to prevent the additional waste and the reduction of our resources over the long haul, or we can send our entire economy, our country, into the tank by wasting everything we have and just burying it in the ground somewhere until we get to the point in our society where we have people digging through the trash, the landfills, to find resources that we threw away. So I think we're making a mountain of a molehill here. This is a simple licensing procedure that will give us data and will ensure some stability within this industry in our community, just as they are required to do in most every other community around us. So I think you probably have a good idea of how I'm going to vote tonight.
All right. Speaking of voting, we need a motion to do that and possibly an amendment. So I'm going to ask our council president, Councilor Coop, to make a motion.
Mayor Murphy, I move for the adoption of Ordinance O 2014-6 on second and final reading.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. I'm going to ask if there are any amendments to the motion. Councilor Paul.
Thank you. Yes, sir. I would propose that we amend Section 5.29.030. Well, yeah, Part B, which currently states a copy of the commercial waste hauler license must be kept in each licensee's vehicle while operating in the city of Lakewood. I would say a copy of the commercial waste hauler's license must be kept on file at
the headquarters.
At headquarters or company offices, local offices.
You could even say must be produced on request.
But if you're in the field and you're asked for that's not
within a certain. Yeah.
Tim, any suggestions?
I'm just thinking about the copy issue. I think if you're going to limit it to the headquarters, you probably want to just require that the original be kept on file. Copy for the trucks would be
much like you see in an elevator, original certificate on file. Okay, so. So B would be a proof of commercial waste hauler's license must be kept on file at company location. Councilor Barroway, the wordsmith.
Any concerns with regional or?
So I think it should be something that's here within the state, so state of Colorado. In case somebody's primary headquarters is in Texas, but they operate here, there should be a license here in Colorado. Local office.
Or if they don't have a local office, I suppose it's a registered office.
Registered
I don't know if that would be overly.
That registered on file with the Secretary of State.
Within the city, or just their
within the state of Colorado, I would think.
I don't want to make it.
Well, we all agree with the spirit of this, and we're just the wordsmithing now. Yeah.
I don't want to make it harder. So
we setting any booby traps for ourselves there, Counselor?
Well, I just want to make sure that we do cover the goal, which is to see the license upon request. It doesn't do a lot of good if that license is kept out of state, and so we need to just make sure that it's either the the company headquarters, if located in the state, or at some registered office, and that they'd have to provide the address to the city as part of the licensing process.
Or you could just put, must be kept on file at registered address as part of the license, wherever they register that address.
Whatever address they use at the application
Yeah,
time.
that does it. That does it.
So that would be, so I guess it would read, you don't like copy, do you? You want original? So the license must be kept on, the commercial waste hauler license must be kept on file at the registered address per application.
Within the state.
At the address indicated on the registration.
There you go.
And specifically within the state, you want that. You want there to be an in-state address for that, or doesn't?
I don't think so. I think it's whatever they're using as their address for the application.
How about just a different angle?
Sure.
Shall be provided within 24 hours of request. So we don't care where you keep it as long as we can get it within a specified period of time.
Yeah, we've got a couple of sort of competing interests here. I suspect the reason for the requirement that a copy be kept in the truck was so that if there's a problem in the field and someone on the city's behalf is responding, they want to see at that time that this is a licensed hauler within the city. And so that's one objective. Having the ability to see it within 24 hours, wherever it's located, is a different goal. And, of course, by that time, we'd be able to check the city records to make sure that it was a licensed company as well. So,
hey, no
comments.
So we'd have a record of the license at any time, given the opportunity to know who we're dealing with and to go back and check the files. So having them required to maintain the original license wherever their headquarters is, that's good information to have, but it should be the same information that we have as well.
Margie?
I just wanted to say that I think your city attorney is exactly right. If we license these, the city clerk's office will have a copy of that license in their file the entire time that they're licensed here in the city, and for some retention period after that, whatever that's determined. So I know when we met with Eric Harris to go over this, that was exactly what you were saying, that the intent was to have it in their trucks. So if somebody, city police or whoever stopped them, they'd be able to produce it immediately off hours from the clerk's office hours.
From the clerk's office, correct. Okay.
If the city has a copy of the license, but of each licensed trash hauler, maybe then all we need to meet the spirit of this is the identification of the licensed company. So each truck, if it's not clearly labeled on the side, needs to have some identification of what company they belong to inside, so that we can confirm whether that company has a license.
That seems a reasonable method. I was just thinking about the fact that some trucks may not be labeled clearly with the hauler's company name. So that allows us to have the information to quickly check with the clerk's office to make sure that it is a licensed company within the city.
Councilor Paul?
I'm going to withdraw my motion for a second while I think about this.
Okay. Motion is withdrawn. Hours of operation. I'll go to the third one, which was online registration. I don't think that we need an amendment for that. That's just something we can do, right? Okay. I'm going to wait for Councilor Paul, since the hours of operation was his question as well.
Well, I understand that within 300 feet. So I would open that up if any of the other council members see an issue with that in some of our areas. I know Belmar is kind of our live, work, play type area where you may see that sort of thing as well with the businesses.
So we're currently at 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. in the ordinance. Okay. Shakti?
What do we see other cities doing, and are there problems with the commercial times there?
I may defer to Eric, but I believe this 7 to 10 language is fairly standard throughout the region and represents what we saw in all the other ordinances.
Yeah, just looking at other waste haulers and other ordinances and licensures, it's 10 to 7 in the morning as a standard language. And they could be operating the truck, they're just not picking up in activities after 7 o'clock, so they can be on their way to a destination.
Any... Adam? Go ahead.
So, help me. So, if we just kind of changed B to just say, proof of commercial waste hauler's license must be made available upon request, and then that can come in any way, shape, or form. If the company wants to put them in their truck, that's fine. If we can verify with the city clerks, that's fine. If their dispatch can fax one over, it kind of leaves it up to the operator to figure out how they want to provide that.
So that would encompass what we were talking about with the driver being able to provide the identity of the licensed company. That would be proof that we could verify through the city's records. Right? Yeah.
So the motion would be proof of the commercial waste hauler license must be made available upon request. Period.
Any heartburn, Tim?
No, I think that accomplishes a couple of goals that we talked about.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, please cast your votes on the amendment. On the amendment. All right. And the amendment passes 8-2. The nays are Councillor Roybal and Councillor Koop. Councillor Wickman, did you want to talk?
Yeah, Councillor Kellum made a comment that gives rise to my question again. She was pointing out that the feds and state regulatory agencies may not have the ability to enforce the safety standards. So again, my question is, will the city be devoting resources to enforcing safety standards?
No, my understanding is that safety standards include things like mandatory vehicle inspections. Now, companies as they exist now may forego that and opt to take their chances on getting caught. The only involvement Lakewood would have is seeing that vehicle inspection before we give a license.
Thus ensuring that it's
done.
That it's safe under state standards.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Is there a second amendment or?
I didn't get a good feel.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we have a motion and a second. We've had some discussion. I will just add, as I said, introducing this topic, I think it is a very modest proposal. I mean, the suggestions that this is one small step from a single hauler is just not the case. I think there was a comment made that one or more city councilors have been quoted as saying that's the goal. I'd like to see those quotes. That just simply is not the goal of anybody that I've heard up here, and certainly not the goal of this, again, very modest proposal. And I think to use analogies to Gulag and North Korea is a stretch at best. So this is a very reasonable approach, and I will definitely be supporting it. Well, all right, Councillor Barroway.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. I agree with you, and I agree with Shakti. This is just a conversation, and this is a simple process to put into place. We've licensed many other businesses in the city of Lakewood without this much discussion, by the way. On some other businesses, I think, have a little more of an impact on what goes on. I'm not aware of anybody that says we are going to try to have a single hauler in the city of Lakewood. And I live in a neighborhood that's small, has windy lanes, and we have probably 2 or 3 trash trucks a day that come through there. And some of the people that stay at home all day, whether they work from home or stay-at-home moms, have tried in the 22 years I've lived in my neighborhood to get the neighborhood to agree to one trash hauler, and that hasn't happened because people like their trash hauler for whatever reason. They've got a good reputation with them. They feel like they get customer service, whatever the reason is. In our small community of about 140 homes, we have not been able to get one trash hauler to come through there. And if we can't do it in our small neighborhood, I'm not sure it can be done in others. So this is not about trying to limit competition. It's only about licensing those who are doing business in the city of Lakewood, which we do with many other businesses in the city of Lakewood that would seem a little less innocuous in terms of what they do in our city compared to the trash trucks that come through neighborhoods like mine 2 or 3 times a day, 5 days a week. I will be voting yes.
Thank you. Councilor Wickman.
I think, as everybody knows, I come from a community organization background, and trash hauling has always been a big one, for our organizations. And GMCA just dealt with this just in the last few weeks. And what the community has done is tried to pick a trash hauler that they would like to use. And I like the idea, whether it works or not, it's leaving it with the local communities. Again, I don't want to get the government involved if there's no pressing need, and I don't think there's a pressing need here. I don't want to get the government involved in anything we don't need to. And so therefore I would continue to like to leave it, with the free market and with the people. So I will be opposing this.
Thank you. Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Adam, I'd just like to thank you for your amendments. I wholeheartedly supported them. This will pass, and you've made it a better ordinance.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Tom, I'm going to leave you last. You've been kind of the champion for this. Councilor Paul.
Thank you. And I applaud the Green Mountain Civic, the Green Mountain folks who've been able to do that. And they have somewhat of an advantage because they speak in numbers. So where I live on a cul-de-sac of 12 people. One time we were all able to get together and get one hauler. Now we have 5 haulers. And 3 of those haulers provide recycling, but it's not one truck. So we have 8 trucks a week coming through my cul-de-sac. And I think there is quantifiable damage when you have tandem axle trucks turning in a tight bulb, and I think you see it quite a bit. So since I've been on council, I think it's easy to say some of the issues that we deal with, they're very glamorous, right, when you get citizen complaints. And a lot of times it's trash haulers saying there's too many trucks. What are you guys doing to do this? And this doesn't even address that part of it. But there's an instance that happened, and it took staff probably 2 to 3 weeks to figure out what was going on. But there was a trash hauler that was in Green Mountain that continually would flip their kind of front loader up as they were moving. So they'd load the residential trash, and they'd go down the road, and they'd flip it up. Well, trash was going everywhere. And we were getting the complaints, and we were trying to figure out who was doing it. Well, it took staff 2 to 3 weeks to track down that company to say, hey, you guys, we can't do this. It's actually against the law to dump while you're moving down the street. And they corrected it. But in all that time, all that trash that was spread out, and it was an issue. And so this is a way for us to get together and say, hey, here's who these folks are. And licensing, it's really interesting when you listen to this conversation, right? You have some folks who are saying, hey, don't license my trash hauler. But I bet you some of those folks, if you were saying, well, we're going to allow recreational marijuana and we're not going to license them, I think you might hear some of those same folks saying, how dare you allow recreational marijuana in my city and not provide a license for them? So you understand, everybody's kind of passionate about their different issues or what's important to them. And so, recycling to me is not hokey. It's true. It's legit. It may cost to do it. But our job here is to try to leave the world a better place than when we got here. And I just, guilty of it myself, started recycling 2 or 3 years ago. And I wish I could get rid of my trash service and just recycle after I've actually been able to see how much I can recycle versus what I use via trash. So I think what this is, and when I approached this issue tonight, I thought, well, maybe I'll try to propose a sunset so we can gather the data, or cut the fee in half. And again, my background is in a heavily regulated transportation industry that deals with vehicle inspections, deals with insurance. And this is pretty minor, and this is what it is. And council members sometimes want to take it a little step further and kind of get this fear going that the city of Lakewood is going to become the trash hauler, like the city and county of Denver. We're going to go out and buy a fleet of recycle trucks. Well, I've had conversations with some folks who actually were involved in this, and they thought, well, we could actually, as an ordinance, require everybody to recycle. And what would that do to some of the smaller companies that didn't have that ability? They'd be out of the market. So $50 isn't pushing anybody out of the market. It's allowing everybody to continue to be in the market, to have a place at the table, because you're right, we will have further discussions. But I can guarantee you that further discussion isn't that the city of Lakewood is going to be having trucks going up and down your streets providing trash. So I am in support of it. I thank my colleagues for the support on the amendment. I think it's a good deal. And lastly, you actually heard from one industry tonight who was in support of it, and it was the trash haulers. Thank you.
Councillor Quinn.
Thank you. The only thing I can really add to that is we've known for the last 6 years that we needed to start gathering this information. This is a discussion that's been going on since 2008 when I came on council, and we started having that discussion about recycling in particular, that we have a lousy diversion rate in this city. We should be doing a lot better than we are, and that's a fact. And so this is a very modest measure to allow us to move forward. And I want to remind everybody also that we're going to be starting in March a sustainability planning effort, and part of that discussion will be trash and recycling. And so I can see us gathering some valuable information out of this licensing process that's going to help us to be able to evaluate options. Now, nobody knows what recommendations will come out of that planning process. It might be that we need more recycling centers. It might be that we need to look at better ways of expanding curbside recycling. That's an open public process, and anyone can participate in. And I would remind everyone up on this dais that all of us signed off on the framework for the sustainability planning process. All of us. And so I really view this as the beginning. It's taken us a long time to get here. Let's move forward and get this done. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said. All right. Please cast your votes on the ordinance. As amended. On the ordinance as amended. And as expected, it passes 7-3. Let's get started. Thanks, Travis. All right. General business. Margie.
We do need a motion to hold a special meeting, and I believe the wording is on your...
Yeah, so I would ask Councillor Coop for that. Or make the motion, just those exact words.
Make a motion to hold a special meeting for the purpose of holding an executive session on March 24th, 2014, for the purpose of discussing a personnel matter as it relates to the city manager's annual review per CRS 24-6-4024F and sections 2.15C8 of the Lakewood Home Rule Charter.
I will second that.
All right, motion is second for an executive session on March 24th. Any discussion? If not, please cast your votes. And that passes unanimously. Executive report. Ms. Hodson.
Yes, thank you. I have a few items. First, briefly, an announcement that Saturday, March 1st at the Charles Whitlock Center is the free Spring Fling Open House. So please go to the Whitlock Center and you can learn, it's free again, and you can work out, you can learn about some of the new programs. The TRX is amazing and it'll really wear you down. We've got demos, exhibitors, special deals on facility passes. So March 1st, Spring Fling. Also, some real good news here. The city received an award from the Colorado chapter of the American Public Works Association for the bicycle overpasses at both Wadsworth and Kipling, adjacent to the W rail line. Each of these overpasses provides about 10 feet wide concrete trail that enhances bicycle safety and connectivity across Wadsworth and Kipling. So congratulations to the Public Works folks. In the department of the police department, do you remember Moose Chavez, Jesus Chavez? He was recognized recently by the Lakewood Rotary Club with their Community Service Award for his work with the youth of Lakewood. Moose is a school resource officer at Alameda High School, and he coordinated a Christmas gathering for over 50 low-income families that included pizza, toys for all the children, and a visit from Santa. Moose is a really good guy, and he's running the Boston Marathon this spring, raising money for Cops for Kids with Cancer. Moose also co-facilitates the annual Youth Police Academy every summer, giving high school-age students a chance to experience life as a Lakewood police agent. So we're so proud to have Moose on staff. Yep. And finally, you are going to hear from our fire chief, Don Lombardi, in the next couple of weeks, so I won't give it away. But there's a really cool agreement that they've made. I better not say a lot here, but with South Metro Fire Rescue Authority, Littleton Fire Rescue, and the Evergreen Fire Rescue. That's a really cool partnership that's going to create better service levels and reduce costs. So that's a cliffhanger. So we'll see the chief in the next couple of meetings. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. On to council reports. I just want to highlight actually something Clark wrote about in the Sentinel this past week, and that's the performance of our Head Start program. And those of us on the Head Start Executive Committee are extremely proud of this program. But every couple of years they do a federal, it's called a peer review, and it's a very kind of tense time, certainly for the folks that work with our Head Start program, as well as those of us, Councilor Barraway, who have been involved with the executive committee. Very, very rigorous standards, and so during this federal review, the teachers' ratings. Clark, I'm quoting you here. Thank you. On a standardized nationwide assessment tool, far exceeded other programs that were evaluated in the region. On 2 of the 3 specific ratings, the teachers compiled scores that were double the nationwide requirements. So we're all really proud of this program. I just want to congratulate Sharon Keith Zamora and, of course, Sherry Peterson and the entire Head Start staff. Councilor Paul.
No report.
Shakti.
Tom Quinn and I attended the Denver Regional Council of Governments planning session, and they, if you don't know, they focus on transportation and senior issues at a regional level. And they do really good work, but it's also a study in how 56 elected officials work together, so it's an interesting process.
Yeah, to be continued. Councilor Roybal.
No report.
Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Recently, my husband was a patient at Ortho, Colorado, and I cannot speak high enough for that hospital. Their staff is wonderful. Frankly, they do God's work there. And I couldn't be prouder to have not only Ortho, Colorado, but St. Anthony's Hospital, not only in Lakewood, but in Ward 1. Thank you, folks, for what you did for Walt.
No report. Thank you.
No report.
Dave?
Yeah, I'd like to, of course, take the opportunity and encourage people to get involved. There's some local government opportunities coming up here. All the water districts and West Metro Fire District is having board elections in May. If you're interested in running for any of those positions, it's a self-nomination, but that deadline is due February 28th. So you need to go to the website of whatever organization you might be interested in and consider getting involved. In addition, we have caucuses for the political parties. They are coming up on March 4th, so a little over a week away. Every party has their own caucuses. They're in different locations around the city. But anyway, March 4th, 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Margie, anything? No report. Tim? Kathy? All right, we're adjourned at 8:44. Thank you.